The best home record in the league against the best away record in the league. Will something give tonight? Or will there be a stalemate? It's Aston Villa against Arsenal from Villa Park tonight on The Corner, and you are, as always, welcome. Yes, people, welcome once again to The Corner, and you are, of course, live with us as we bring you coverage of the game from Villa Park tonight, the Saturday late kickoff at 5:30 UK time, which will be starting in about 2 minutes from now. Aston Villa against Arsenal from Villa Park, Birmingham. Arsenal travel to the home ground of their former boss, Unai Emery, to try and stop them from picking up yet another home win, which would be their record 15th home win in the league. And they are, of course, on a winning run of 14 right now, which is their longest in history, which will in the Premier League, and will, of course, be their overall biggest run ever if they beat Arsenal tonight. Now, well, I will, of course, do my bit to share the team news as and when I have it. And, so apparently, of course, Villa will be hoping to try and win in memory of their superfan, Benjamin Zephaniah, who passed away recently, a former Peaky Blinders star and also a civil rights activist who famously refused the offer of an Order of the British Empire from the government. This is, of course, how Aston Villa will be lining up. No real changes in a way to the team which beat which beat Manchester City so sensationally, except it does look like it will be a 4-4-1-1 with Youri Tielemans playing as a sort of pivot midfielder in front of the four-man midfield. Instead of playing up front, Leon Bailey will be on the right wing, hoping to try and terrorize Alexander Zinchenko. And these are, of course, the people you will find on the bench. No changes, of course, from that team. And the only change as far as Arsenal are concerned is that Alexander Zinchenko starts to play secure. And a 4-3-3 formation, of course. Another big change is that there will be no Mikel Arteta on the touchline tonight. And it will be, of course, his deputies who will be taking care of it. And they've just kicked off right now with a short back pass to David Raya. Arsenal kicked off and are attacking from left to right, wearing their away strip of fluorescent green and black, the same strip they wore when they beat Luton Town with a last-minute winner. And a huge attack immediately down the left, and Konsa has to be at his best to try to stop that. Martinelli trying to thread it through, but some desperate defending there, and Villa eventually are able to clear their line through camera. Bailey passing it back to Konsa, who is playing as more of a right-back tonight in place of Matthew Cash. Emery has gone for an unchanged team, but the formation is slightly different. So instead of Leon Bailey starting up front, he takes his place on the right wing with Tielemans as a sort of a midfield pivot, in a way. That's the sort of position you'd expect Douglas Luiz to be playing in. But Bailey is now on the right against Zinchenko, and he's got Rice as well, who've double-teamed him. And Villa end up winning the first corner of the game with barely a minute gone. So already Aston Villa are trying to stamp their mark on this game so far. And hopefully we'll get some people in the comments very soon. But until then, you are always welcome. Well, the corner's now being about to be taken. We're going to find out who'll be taking it. Left-footed, so I wonder who it will be. Maybe Kai Havertz might be swinging this in with that big left foot of his. Arsenal's midfield were pretty ordinary against Luton Town, so they will have their work cut out. Actually, it's the Villa corner, rather, so it's not going to be Havertz. And that is swung in. It is Bailey, in fact, who took the corner, and that is headed away for a throw. Leon Bailey, of course, who scored that winner. Manchester to deflection, you say really that it was a well-deserved goal and that Villa were full value for their win. So it will be Konsa to try and take the throw. A short one to camera, and Konsa ends up playing it back. It is with that was Diego Carlos there, who passes it to Pau Torres. Back to Diego Carlos, the number 3. Normally a number worn by a left back, but in the Brazilian system, 3 is worn by a centre back. And Aston instead of trying to let it go out for a throw, Luca Digne is able to keep that in play, passing it to Douglas Luiz, back to Pau Torres. Torres and Carlos could potentially be weak points for this Aston Villa defence. And although they didn't do too badly there, and Reyes came to collect that, but he very nearly dropped it. Fortunately, no harm was done, and that will be an Aston Villa throw. And Raya, of course, the subject of immense scrutiny after what must be said was a dreadful display against Luton Town. And he will definitely need to be on his game tonight, because you can just tell that Arsenal are going to try and attack him relentlessly. And a poor clearance out to Douglas Luiz. He's certainly not going to try a shot from that distance with the Arsenal defence pretty much packed. It is with Konsa, Camara, Carlos. Villa's high line, of course, very famous for having caught several people offside, but their high line has been broken on more than a few occasions. And this will be interesting to see just how they stop it. But some great work there in the midfield to prevent an Arsenal counter-attack. And can Lewis find the pass? No, he doesn't find Watkins, sadly. And some great work there from Ollie Watkins means that Villa still have a chance to try to make something happen. It's end-to-end stuff at the moment. And pretty much what you would probably expect from an Aston Villa game these days. And, of course, a lot of people will remember how in last season's corresponding fixture, Villa took the lead and were ahead 2-1 at half-time. They took the lead twice, actually, through some pretty slack Arsenal defending. But Unai Emery's biggest mistake was that he allowed himself to go far too defensive. And that pretty much cost them as Arsenal equalised and went on to score in the 90th minute for a very unfortunate Emiliano Martinez own goal. And then an empty netter from Gabriel Martinelli, who crosses the ball into the box right now, hoping to find Saka, but Saka unable to connect properly with his wrong foot. And that goes behind for a goal kick. So obviously, you know, for all of the talk about Aston Villa's high line, they do have the ability to get their defenders back whenever they need to. And Martinelli there, of course, who famously scored that 4th goal, the empty netter, trying to cross it for Saka. But maybe if Saka had gotten into a better position, he would have had the chance to stop it and maybe test Emiliano Martinez, but couldn't really get onto it. Martinez, of course, who played 38 games for Arsenal over the course of a 10-year spell, including, famously, 15 games in the 2019-2020 season as Arsenal recovered from a dreadful beginning under Areteta to finish in 8th position and win the FA Cup, but decided to move to Aston Villa when an offer was made because Areteta was not willing to guarantee him the first-team football he frankly deserved. And this is going to be promising for Aston Villa because it is Leon Bailey now up against Magalhaes. A brilliant cross through, and Villa have taken the lead, and it is their captain supreme, Super John McGinn, the Braveheart. And you can't say that it hasn't been coming. You can't say that it hasn't been coming. Although Arsenal had been trying to sort of get a foothold into the game, they haven't really been able to do that. And so far, Villa have been very enterprising, especially in the midfield. And the best way to sort of use the high line to make sure you can use the high line but not be punished for it is make sure that your midfield is spot on. And so far, with Boubacar Kamara improving his play, they've done exactly that. Some excellent work there from, I think that's Ollie Watkins, not straying into an offside position. Excellent turn there from McGinn. It was effectively, once again, the left back was completely out of position. No Zinchenko there. And Benny Blanco, all I can say is, son, hang your head in shame. The only reason why you're playing tonight is because Tomiyasu is injured. And should the goalkeeper have done better? Well, all I can say is that, a taller goalkeeper would have no problems being able to, parry that successfully. So thanks to John McGinn on 7 minutes. The score is Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0. And this is a dreadful start for Arsenal, who are playing without their manager, Mikel Areteta, who is sitting in the director's box as it stands in front of Vinay Venkatesham. But as for Unai Emery, who obviously knows the pain of last season's corresponding fixture, and also having managed Arsenal with some promise in his first season, only to be sacked midway through his second season, he will definitely love to beat Arsenal tonight. We've got some comments in already. Ryan Toon, good evening. Very good to see you. And I will share a message over here. Coach's Corner, Hanno, delighted with the opening goal. Come on, Villa. For me, it's still come on, Arsenal. But if Arsenal don't win anything from this, they will have. It is fair to say that Villa will definitely have deserved it. But there is some hope with Gabriel Martinelli up against Ezri Konsa once again. Konsa is more of a central defender, so a cheeky little backheel there from Odegaard. But Diego Carlos and Kamara once again outstanding. And having said that, a pretty poor clearance there from Douglas Luiz, finding his Brazilian teammate Martinelli. But double teaming there from Carlos and Bailey will sort of put an end to that threat. And short pass there to Martinez, who handles that perfectly. Pau Torres is able to get that to Luca Digne, who clears up the danger. Digne, of course, has been starting at left back this season with Alex Moreno carrying the effects of a hamstring injury from last season. But Moreno has been fit to take his place on the bench in recent times. And you sense that he might come on in the second half if Digne is unable to withstand the threat of Saka. But so far, with almost 10 minutes gone, Arsenal haven't really offered very much of a threat. Throw conceded by Torres, taken by Ben White all the way to Saliba, to Magalhaes, to Zinchenko. Hoping to find Martinelli, but well cut out there. And Konsa once again showing why, when it comes to defensive duties, he is peerless. Stepsy's in the building. Excellent goal. Couldn't agree with you more. And this is the message that I will want to share. Do please offer some help to our dear friend Rich Amponsa from Eagle-Eyed Ball. They are, of course, trying to raise funds for the Make-A-Wish Foundation UK. This is, of course, the link. And also, Hanno has a friend named Harry who was struggling with patulous eustachian tube disorder. This is his GoFundMe link as well. Do please copy those links, each of those links, not both at the same time, into your browser. And please donate whatever you can. I do understand that it will not be easy with the cost of living crises wherever you are in the world. But if you can donate anything, every little bit helps, I promise you. And we're seeing the goal again. And what can I say? Just some slack defending, really. And Villa deserve that lead through their enterprise. But at the moment, it is Declan Rice back to Ben White, or Benny Blanco, as many of us derisively call him. And hoping to find Saka with the ball, but Digne will just shepherd that through to the former Arsenal goalkeeper and current world number one, Emi Martinez. And interestingly enough, of course, with Liverpool having beaten Crystal Palace earlier on in the lunchtime kickoff today, not without some controversy, it must be said, Liverpool are, of course, top of the league by 1 point. So Arsenal have to win today to go back on top, because if they draw, they will be second on goal difference. And if they lose, well, they will end up 1 point behind Liverpool, and Villa will be 1 point behind Arsenal. And boy, this race will be hotting up. And that is, of course, a foul on Saka. So it'll be a short free kick, a short pass to Martin Odegaard, to Zinchenko, back to William Saliba. Declan Rice, of course, who obviously will be looking to try and sink his teeth into the Aston Villa midfield, but hasn't really had much luck so far. Zinchenko. Once again, his lack of positioning meant that there was nobody to attack Leon Bailey, but a brilliant through ball, a bit too fast though for Kai Havertz, the number 29. And speaking of number 29, what an excellent goal by Phil that was, Philip Billing for Bournemouth against Manchester United at Old Trafford. What a dreadful result for Erik ten Hag, but a magnificent result for Unai Emery's fellow Basque coach, Andoni Iraola, who also was on the same youth team as a certain Mikel Arteta back in Spain. So obviously, as you can see, I'm sort of talking a bit of a mile a minute because I haven't had anything to eat. I do have my dinner with me, but I don't want to run the risk of getting cold. However, it would be very unprofessional of me to even contemplate eating on air. Odegaard with a through ball, but I don't believe Saka's going to get that, and Luca Digne will make sure he doesn't get that. So 13 minutes gone. It is Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0. A reverse pass from Bailey. Great turn from McGinn. A super start, according to the ex-Tottenham midfielder Michael Brown. And so Torres and Martinez standing over that. Torres passing it to Martinez. And one of the biggest criticisms of Martinez is that he still doesn't really have the ability to play out from the back. But I'll tell you what, he has actually worked hard on that game. So any Arsenal fans who think that he's poor with his feet, you really need to shut your mouths and eat it. But at the moment, Arsenal do have a chance to try to start an attack, and it is Gabriel Jesus connecting with Martinelli. A pass back to Zinchenko. Declan Rice, who hasn't really asserted himself in as of yet. And that is Jesus once again, hoping to find someone on the right, but that was a dreadful pass right between White and Saka. Neither of them were going to get that, and that will be an Aston Villa throw. A nice piece of trivia, of course, is that both of the Arsenal BGs, the Brazilians Gabriel, Magalhães, Martinelli and Jesus, were in the Brazilian team that lost at home to Argentina in the World Cup qualifier at the Maracanã Stadium. And who was in goal but a certain Damian Emiliano Martinez Romero, who kept a clean sheet, saving from Gabriel Martinelli. Zinchenko now, who finds himself near the right of centre when he really should be at left back. And this is another example of the perverted, inverted strategy, which can be Arsenal's downfall at times. Of course, the reason why Arteta is in the posh seats tonight is because he is suspended after picking up a yellow card for celebrating his team's winner at Luton. Now, there will be some controversy about whether or not the decision was fair. Watkins doing brilliantly to keep the ball in play, and in fact, he wins an Aston Villa throw off Declan Rice. Great stuff there from the England striker. Better to be safe than sorry. A throw back to Pau Torres, who passes it to Diego Carlos. And a very risky pass there, but Luis is able to get that, but dispossessed by Kai Havertz. It's 3-on-3 now. Over to Saka. Saka can possibly score, but great work there from Pau Torres to block. And once again, the Aston Villa defending has been absolutely spot on. Benny Blanco hoping to catch Emiliano Martinez off his line, but sorry, son, you won't get to do that. He's 6'5", better positioning than your teammates Ramsdale and Raya. Don't even think about it. And as I said, there will be some controversy, of course, over whether or not the yellow card should have been given and the decision should have been given. And it looks as though there could have been a foul there on Kai Havertz because he caught Boubacar Kamara on his calf. I don't know if a free kick was awarded, though. Well, the referee doesn't award a free kick because that was ruled to be a fair challenge. But it is a goal kick, though, for Aston Villa. And Emi Martinez will want to take his time, but not take too long. He has had several bookings for time wasting. An excellent ball finding Ollie Watkins, but sadly not able to do much with that. But Blanco only able to pass it back along the right to William Saliba. He does receive it back, though, through Declan Rice. And Bukayo Saka being pressured by Luca Digne, passing it back to Saliba. Magalhaes hoping to find Zinchenko, and he does. And another excellent pass through, but Carlos once again with well, this time a shanked clearance, but Camara is there to clean up that mess. But not very well, though, because Jesus wins it back. And yet again, Camara does some outstanding defensive work. I've been critical of Boubacar Camara for quite a long time because there have been, I have noticed that some of his ball control has not been the best, but he seems to have improved on that. And we've got our dear friend KFC Delivery. Good evening to you, mate. And John McGinn is better than everyone in that Chelsea jersey. A controversial statement, but I probably wouldn't disagree with that, given that I believe it was he who scored the winner against Chelsea. I don't know whether it was this season or last season, but you do have a point. Zinchenko to Rice, and it looks as though with Havertz not really able to get into the game either, Zinchenko will have a role to play alongside Rice and Odegaard in that midfield. But Odegaard also went missing against Tottenham, and Luton rather. He cannot afford to go missing tonight. He probably did go missing against Tottenham. A wonderful through ball, hoping to find Kai Havertz, but once again, Ezri Konsa outstanding, and the referee blowing for a foul there. Havertz with his rather awkward donkey legs there, catching Konsa on his Achilles tendon, and the referee awarding a free kick. And Arsenal are starting to grow into the game, which is wonderful for me to see, but not so much for Unai Emery. And clearly you can see he doesn't like the fact that Arsenal have been allowed to find space and create and sort of thread some passes through. But Aston Villa once again have got to try to work hard, and not very convincingly. Pau Torres has been dispossessed. Havertz with the pass through to Martinelli. He's in the penalty area. He can try and find someone through or go for a shot himself, but McGinn and Bailey outstanding. And Torres needs to be stronger. He's joined the Premier League this season from Villarreal, where he worked with Emery, and he has looked smooth on the ball, but he needs to really bulk up and be a little bit more physical and rough. And I think Liverpool fans will remember the problem that Wataru Endo had earlier today with Liverpool against Crystal Palace, where he was dispossessed far too many times. Torres cannot afford to let that happen to him tonight. And Rice to Martinelli now. Martinelli against Konsa once again. But more of a hopeful cross, really. Never going to really find anyone there. Neither Ben White nor Kai Havertz, and Emi Martinez there, easily sort of plucking that from the air. And a long kick, hoping to find Watkins, and he does find him, but and that is, of course, a free kick. I do believe that was Watkins offside. I don't know. A short free kick taken, but brilliant work once again from Boubacar Camara. And I wonder if he's auditioning for a role on Candid Camera. Well, he wouldn't be doing that unless he was doing something silly. But I'll tell you what, so some of his play so far has been really, really good. Definitely worth making a highlights reel. And he's been rushing back to defend, doing everything that Declan Rice is expected to do for Arsenal. And he's got to try to find a way out there. And Tielemans, of course, playing in that pivot role, will have a role to play. He does have space to maneuver, finding John McGinn, who shakes off Martin Odegaard quite effortlessly. Back to Tielemans, who, of course, scored the winner for Leicester City in the 2021 FA Cup final against Chelsea, for whom I do believe a certain Kai Havertz was playing. And I'm pretty certain Jorginho was in that team too. Jorginho, I think, is on the bench, if I'm not wrong. And he is. So a foul on Tielemans has brought about a free kick for Aston Villa. And Raya should be able to get his war organised. He does have an excellent spring, despite being rather short for a goalkeeper. But I wonder who will be taking this. And I do seem to remember in one game, I do believe well, it certainly was a home game. I just don't remember which. Luiz and Digne were fighting over who would take the free kick. Digne saying, my left foot will be better than your right foot. Sadly, he was wrong. But it looks as though it is Luca Digne who might be looking to curl this over. And there is a... Is he going to aim for the top corner over the wall? David Raya is a marked man now. He will be under pressure tonight after that Aerostone display against Luton Town, as I've mentioned. And that was a poor free kick straight into the wall. And Luiz there with a huge left-footed blast into Bukayo Saka. And once again, you've got to give the Aston Villa defence and midfield credit. Whenever they would lose the ball, the work they do off the ball to win it back has been outstanding. And Bailey there with an attempted pass through to Watkins, but that has been cut off. And Arsenal are now going to have to try to find a way back into the game. Luiz there so far has been absolutely brilliant. I wouldn't say brilliant as of yet, but he certainly has been workmanlike. And so far, he hasn't allowed Martin Odegaard to get into the game. And this is going to be worrying because it does look as though Jorginho has assumed the role of Arsenal vice-captain. And he probably will end up coming on as a replacement for Odegaard. So there was some talk as well about whether or not Jorginho should be starting tonight, given his ability to find a good pass. Watkins trying to make something happen, but triple teamed there. And a nice chip pass from Raya, hoping to find Ben White, which he does, and he controls it well. But John McGinn, once again, outstanding running back. But some poor work there, sees Martin Odegaard win the ball. A through ball to Gabriel Jesus on the right, and the Aston Villa defence is back like the cavalry. Odegaard to Jesus once again. Declan Rice. The last thing that Villa will want will be to concede. Through to Saka, but Martinez coming out to smother him, and Saka having no option to try to pass into the empty penalty area where there was no one to meet that pass. And a poor pass there from Rice, which left Odegaard unsighted. And a foul there on Douglas Luiz, and that will be a free kick. Douglas Luiz, of course, was mooted as being a target for Arsenal, but I can tell you right now that there's no way that the Villa hierarchy or Emery will allow that to happen. But great work there. I just think the ball maybe went a little bit too far for Saka, and Martinez doing brilliantly to cover the angle and prevent Saka from having a shot on goal. And the defense also, Konsa at the back once again, outstanding. But what's worrying is that despite starting as a right back, Konsa is literally having to do the lion's share of defensive duties. A poor header there from Declan Rice. John McGinn now has the ball, hoping to find a chip pass for Ollie Watkins, but doesn't get it high enough, and Rice atones for his mistake with a pass to Saka, who controls it well enough to find Zinchenko. Back with Blanco. And a poor pass there from Saka. That will be an Arsenal throw. So worryingly for Aston Villa, they had the lead, but Arsenal are able to find some space. But one thing which Unai Emery has done brilliantly right now, and this is a brilliant tactical masterclass from him, is that he has combined a high line with a very low block. So this has been a very accomplished performance so far. But what I will say is that Arsenal's midfield is, at least on paper, more impressive than Manchester City's was last night. So do not be surprised if Arsenal manage to find a way back, but they will need to hurry. And a free kick there for a foul on Luca Digne by Gabriel Jesus. And it might be fair to say that Aston Villa is somehow managing to beat Arsenal at their own game by matching Arsenal's high intensity with intensity of their own. The biggest question is, will they have enough fitness and resilience as the game goes on? Emery's named an unchanged side tonight, but he does have a very good bench. And the people who came on in that game obviously played their role. And, ooh, a little bit casual there from Martinez, but no harm, no foul. But that wasn't the best of clearance with his wrong foot, his left foot. Finds Zinchenko, who passes it back to Rice, but John McGinn there forcing the England midfielder to pass back to David Raya, the Spanish reserve goalkeeper behind Unai Simon. Magalhaes, who literally now has to assume left-back duties with Zinchenko going AWOL. And a poor clearance there from Raya, intercepted by camera, but the number 29 Havertz, they're doing quite well. No foul on Havertz. The referee says play on. And it is Douglas Luiz to Diego Carlos, his fellow Brazilian. And Torres once again hesitating, but eventually finding the pass to Bailey on the right. And Torres needs to be careful. And it looks as though Bailey's limping a little bit. So this is a worry for Aston Villa because Bailey was sensational against City on Wednesday. And he, of course, was the architect of Villa's opening goal tonight. There is no way that Villa can afford to see him go off early. And a foul there by Zinchenko on Tielemans. And that is a yellow card for the Ukrainian international. Well, obviously, Villa are hoping to try and, continue the high intensity, but Arsenal are matching them at the moment. Villa have done brilliantly to draw first blood, and I think this is an excellent exercise in game management from Unai Emery and his boys. But there are some weaknesses in that team, particularly in the defence, and Arsenal will do well to try to look at them and exploit them a lot more. And I do worry, as I've said, about Ezri Konsa being a little bit overworked, but if that is the case, he could very well be brought off. And Matthew Cash, the Polish Englishman, Polish international, could very well come on. I was expecting Emery, mind you, to play with a 3-4-2-1 to provide a little bit more defensive solidity, but maybe the presence of an extra defender at the back would have made the backline a bit more, clunky, sluggish. I don't know. But Emery does have the option, and Konsa once again, outstanding. Konsa to Tielemans. To Diego Carlos. To Konsa once again. And a back pass to Emi Martinez, who controls it well. Short pass to Pau Torres, who ends up finding Luca Digne. And I tell you what, this short passing at the back does look a little bit nervy at times, but you'll be surprised at how well controlled they are. And credit to Pau Torres, he was switched on beautifully. He knew the pass he wanted to play to Luca Digne. Zinchenko now. Martinelli once again, who's literally been kept quiet by Ezri Konsa so far. Aside from one or two crosses, Martinelli hasn't been able to get into the game. And of course, the strategy which Eddie Howe applied when Newcastle beat Arsenal at St. James's Park was, of course, to shut down Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli. And it is fair to say that that has continued. But at the moment, it is Ben White, and I do believe the flag is raised for an offside against the Arsenal right back. And for now, former England right back. So half an hour gone. It is still Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0, with John McGinn scoring the opening goal in the 7th minute. And so far, Villa are, I probably would say, controlling the game. Martinez hasn't really had a save to make. Neither, for that matter, has David Raya. But you can just see the action hotting up in the last 15 minutes of this half. And if Arsenal do manage to score an equaliser, it will give them a lot of confidence going into the break. But once again, some play from the back and not very well controlled by John McGinn, and Declan Rice pouncing on that. But Torres, once again, outstanding. That wasn't outstanding, though, from Watkins. Odegaard wins the ball back. Saka in the penalty area. And not getting any elevation on that. And that is meat and drink for the 6'5" Argentinian custodian. And so this is worrying. And Watkins over there very nearly selling his teammates up the river. Saka twisting Torres all the way to Sunday, but not able to get the height on the ball. easy height for the goalkeeper, really. And at the other end, nothing shot really from that tight an angle. Always going to be an easy save for David Raya. And you can see now that Arsenal are starting to look very dangerous, but so far Aston Villa have coped with them magnificently. But as always, I am hopeful that we can, Arsenal that is, break the deadlock in the as soon as possible. And we did see the first shot on target there from Bukayo Saka, but it was a nothing shot really. Easy save for the goalkeeper. And Hannah, listen, if you do want to come on at half-time, and I don't know if you're watching the game. I think you said you had a rugby match going on, but if you want to talk about it, by all means, come back on. I'd love to have you keep me company, at least for half-time. And as always, thanks for setting up this stream. Odegaard. Saliba. I'm a believer in Saliba. Odegaard. Saka. I believe there was a campaign, in fact, for a new chant for William Saliba to the tune of the Monkeys, I'm a believer. But I don't think that gained any traction. And excellent work there from Ben White to retrieve that ball and stop it from going over. Can Odegaard make a shot? Ooh, that wasn't too far away. And Martinez had it covered anyway, but Arsenal are now starting to look dangerous. This is pretty lackadaisical defensive play there, allowing Ben White to get that ball the same way that Joe Willock did, leading to the game winner that Newcastle scored against us at St. James's Park. But Odegaard normally has a much stronger left foot, unable to really get much onto that. And clearance there, hoping to find Ollie Watkins, but he was barged from behind, and the referee rightly spotting that misdemeanor from Saliba and awarding an Aston Villa free kick. Sorry, Willie, you can't get away with that. Willie barging Ollie. A very big folly. Torres. McGinn. Declan Rice obstructing him, and the referee wisely awarding a free kick. And Rice once again making a nuisance of himself. And worryingly, Declan Rice hasn't gotten very much into the game tonight. I mean, he's done some excellent defensive work, there's no doubt about that, but as an attacking force, he hasn't really done too much. Not been able to find a few passes. I mean, he's connected with Martinelli, but Martinelli also has been shut down well by Ezri Konsa, who retrieves the ball and prevents it from going out for a throw. And this is a worry now for Aston Villa because their passing has started to become a little bit slack. Exhibited by that there, but Martinez able to somehow get it back. But Aston Villa are starting to look very sluggish, and Arsenal are coming back strong now in the final 10 minutes or so of the first half. Martinelli, can he find a through pass to Havertz? Yes, he can. Havertz hoping to see Zinchenko through, but the Villa defense once again sparing blushes. Not for long, though, because Saliba gets that ball, despite the efforts of Leon Bailey. Declan Rice can now try and orchestrate proceedings, finding Ben White. William Saliba. Back to Ben White. Odegaard. Declan Rice. And this is much better from Arsenal now in these last few minutes, and Emery will have a lot of reasons for concern the way this half has gone. And, could this possibly be? No, it isn't. Martinez came out, but Martinelli was able to chip the ball over him, but not with that much power. Jesus now twisting the defense always to Sunday, but Luca Digne coming to the rescue once again. And that was a heart and mouth moment for Aston Villa, but the defense once again coping brilliantly. But they have been stretched. The midfield is now being stretched very tightly by Arsenal, and Aston Villa have got to be... And once again, some lackadaisical play there, but this time, Emi Martinez is able to reclaim the ball. And Diego Carlos there. I wonder if it would have counted. Excellent work from Martinelli to chip it over, but Carlos read the danger magnificently and avoided it. And Martinelli very nearly came close to embarrassing Martinez once again, only for Martinelli's fellow Brazilian Carlos to say, not tonight. So the action is hotting up, and I think Hannah said it perfectly. Villa need to get a second. There's no way they can sit back on a 1-0 lead. And it isn't so much that they're trying to sit back on the lead. It's just that Arsenal are not really allowing them to get back into the game very much. So credit to Arsenal. I'm quite happy with that. But Arsenal need a goal as well. And one thing in Villa's favour is that whenever they do get the ball in midfield, they are now starting to come back and win a few free kicks. They've just won one now through John McGinn, the goal scorer, of course. 8 minutes to go until half-time, and there might be a few minutes of stoppages. We'll have to see. But Emery should be concerned at the way the midfield at times has started to fall asleep and not really pay much attention. They've not been as sharp as they were in the opening few minutes. And Martinez there put under pressure and sends the ball out of play. And clearly he's not happy. Martinez, of course, made two fine saves from Erling Haaland in that win over City, and those were, in fact, the only two shots that City had on target. Apart from that, he did make one save from Phil Foden. Not a foul on Konza, so Martinez wins the ball back, and it is Havertz now who gets into the penalty area, hoping to find Jesus. Odegaard, can he shoot? Excellently saved by Martinez. I mean, it was probably low, not really getting that height from Odegaard. And you could very well say that it was within Martinez's range, but he still had to make the save, getting down very quickly. And this is one of the things about Emi Martinez, what makes him so good. He may be 6'5", but his anticipation and positioning really are top-notch. Gets down very quickly. Odegaard hoping to find the far left corner for him, which would have been to Martinez's right, but the Argentinian getting down brilliantly to smother that. Easy save, but a save which had to be made nonetheless. And some sloppy work there from Saliba sees Aston Villa win a throw deep into Arsenal territory. Not too sure what Areteta will be making of it all. He wouldn't be happy with the way Bailey was allowed to get that cross in for McGinn, and how White was just able to allow McGinn to shoot and Raya wasn't able to save that. Throw into Bailey. And Arsenal should be able to clear that. But now, with some pressure released for Aston Villa, can they make something out of it? Arsenal have got to be strong in defence now. They cannot afford to make any mistakes. Torres now sending it forward. Finds Bailey. And there will be some substitutions made as we come into the last 5 minutes of the half. No foul there, so the referee waves play on. And Tielemans there shaking it off. Ollie Watkins in the penalty area, but excellently saved by David Raya. I think it's fair to say that the angle wasn't really in Watkins's favour. In any case, the England man was offside, so it wouldn't have counted. And that save will certainly do Raya a world of confidence. The only sad part is that, according to the letter of the law, because Watkins was offside, yep, just straying a fraction offside there. Saliba doing his homework brilliantly, and probably too close to Raya anyway, but Raya needed to make that save. So we're into the last 5 minutes of the half, and there will be stoppages added on. And Torres has looked a little bit shaky, so one change which I would like to see Unai Emery make would be to bring on Matthew Cash and have him go into the right-back position and take off Pau Torres, who has looked a little bit shaky with his footwork, so that you can have Ezri Konsa and Diego Carlos as the central defenders. At the moment, though, it's Bailey against Magalhaes and Martinelli. Great footwork from the Jamaican. Hoping to find Douglas Luiz, but the pass wasn't good enough. Kai Havertz cutting that away, and the referee should be able to blow his whistle because the advantage wasn't taken. That will be a free kick for a clip foul there on, I believe it was Havertz who was trying to run with it, and that will be frustrating for Arsenal because, bringing the ball that far back means that they're going to have to, work all over again. And a huge stat here is that while Aston Villa have scored with their only shot on target, Arsenal have had 3 and not really tested Emi Martinez. Well, maybe Odegaard did for an extent. And now he's tested, and a Fine save there from Gabriel Jesus. The World Cup winner once again keeping Aston Villa in the hunt against his former side. Once again, Villa's defence falling to sleep. Question marks over a possible offside, but... well, I mean, it was a fairly comfortable height for Martinez, and you'd expect him to make that save. And, of course, he was smart enough to do the right thing by pushing it out of harm's way, and Lucas Digne was able to clean that up. Arsenal are growing into the game. And worryingly for Aston Villa, they look very ominous. It will be an Arsenal corner to be taken by Bukayo Saka. Left-footed, hoping to swing it in. And a near-post header there, but Watkins doing some good work, flicking that over the bar. And, at first glance, it almost looked an own goal, but the England man doing his homework very well. So it will be another Arsenal corner. I'm assuming that Bukayo might want to try to put this further into the box. Two minutes to go before the end of normal time. There will be stoppages, and Martinez claims that quite brilliantly, but lands rather awkwardly. I'm pretty sure he'll be fine to continue, but he does have a habit of, rolling about with a few aches and pains. And I want to see right now who Aston Villa's substitute goalkeeper is. It is, in fact, Philip Marshall, because Robin Olsen, the Sweden #1, is unavailable. And Rice getting into a bit of a tussle there with Pau Torres. Rice wanting to try to get in, and you would imagine that in the second half he will have a bit of a role to play. Martinez is all right and sends that kick long, and that will be an Aston Villa throw. Magalhaes doing his bit to hoof the ball out of danger. Comes to Tielemans, hoping to find Bailey, and he does. Bailey unfortunately slipping, and with that, Arsenal can try and get it away. Zinchenko now hoping to build, but ends up losing it to Boubacar Kamara. John McGinn now. Up against three, and finds Tielemans, who slips it in. Hoping to find Watkins, but Watkins unable to get the header there. But it is still with Aston Villa, and their forwards are now beating a rather hasty retreat in order to avoid being in an offside position. Last 30 seconds of normal time. Torres hoping to find Digne, but Ben White cutting that off. And Torres will now need to go back on defensive duty because it is with Saliba. And, oh boy, you can't legislate for that, I'm afraid. Watkins there doing brilliantly to put the French international under pressure, and he ends up spraying a pass there, splitting Gabriel and Raya in two, and conceding needlessly an Aston Villa corner. Normal time has now elapsed, and we are into stoppage time, and we're going to find out how many minutes are being added. Should be at least one. And there are, in fact, two. So we'll see what this corner from Leon Bailey does. Excellently taken corner, but Ben White outstanding at the near post, and Arsenal can clear their lines. But Digne able to find Pau Torres, who ends up shaking off Martin Odegaard. But Gabriel Jesus there should be able to clear the danger, and Jesus now worryingly for Arsenal back in defence. Zinchenko finding Havertz. And Villa concede a free kick there for a foul on the German international. Ezri Konsa once again having to come back and defend. And in this last minute, you sense that if Arsenal want to take a chance to equalise, this is the moment, because this is the last minute, of course, of stoppage time added. And, this could be promising, a dangerous filler, but promising for Arsenal. But once again, the Aston Villa defence coming back superbly to put Gabriel Martinelli under pressure. And as much as I absolutely adore this fellow, I have to say that aside from one or two moments which look very promising, I think the offside trap would have been sprung by Villa again quite perfectly, and yeah, probably. I don't know if it would have counted. I don't know if the flag was raised or not. But 20 seconds to go now before the end of the first half. It is still Aston Villa at 1, Arsenal 0, but Aston Villa holding on. And in stark contrast to their dominating performance over City, they're having to struggle to maintain their lead. So we're going to find out if the referee will blow his whistle once this goal kick is taken. And it is, in fact, yeah, I do apologize for that. When you're using a hotspot connection, sometimes the phone takes priority. Didn't really miss very much there, and Emi Martinez coming out to stop a potential Arsenal counter attack, and times blown. So the banner right now. So a lot to talk about in the first half. Aston Villa starting magnificently and going ahead through John McGinn and having a few runs, but not really able to test David Raya. In contrast, Arsenal have grown into the game and tested Emi Martinez on more than a few occasions. So Villa holding on to their 1-0 lead, but you will expect some substitutions to be made by Unai Emery, and Aston Villa's assistant coaches will have to make some changes of their own. We've got Shay Given and Tony Adams in the stadium right now. I don't know if I'll be able to hear what they say at half-time, but it will be interesting to hear what they say. But at the moment, it is Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0, and an amazing 45 minutes away from Villa Park. I will have to take a little bit of a break, but I will be back. Cheers. Okay, I'm back, and I do apologize for that delay. And we don't seem to have too many comments as such. Bit surprising. I was hoping to get maybe a few more. But at the moment, I am back in time for the resumption of the Premier League channel's Matchday Live. As I've said, we've got Shay Given and Tony Adams in the studio right now. Given, of course, played for Aston Villa for quite a few seasons after moving on from Manchester City. And Tony Adams, of course, Mr. Arsenal, who generated headlines by saying that under Emery, Arsenal would have won the league. I wonder if he's going to be proven right if Aston Villa win tonight. I think it's quite fair to say, as I've said, that Villa have started quite brightly, but Arsenal have quite wonderfully come back into the game. And they now need to make sure they make this thing count, because if Emery starts to get defensive as fixture last season, then believe me, Villa will be in trouble. One saving grace, of course, for Aston Villa is that whenever they have lost the ball, the work that they've done to win it back has been outstanding. And even when Villa have managed to find a way to get a shot on target, they found their ex-goalkeeper in such inspired form. But of course, a football match has two 45-minute halves. And so I'll be very interested to hear what the pundits will be saying. I will mute the screen and find out what's going on now. Yeah, Shay Given once again waxing lyrical about the move that led to the Aston Villa goal. Bailey skinning Magalhaes and Rice not able to help out. And the rest is history. Now we'll hear from Mr. Arsenal. Yeah, basically, once again, the former Arsenal and England defender criticising Arsenal's defending, Zinchenko not playing at left back, and Ben White and Saliba not able to assume the responsibility of picking up John McGinn, who was able to score. If Saliba had been on John McGinn, maybe McGinn wouldn't have scored. Now, what does Given say? And basically, once again, the pundits talking about how Arsenal, to their credit, have come back and started to look a little bit dangerous, forcing Martinez to some good saves. The highlight of the chances, of course, was Gabriel Martinelli lifting the ball over Martinez quite beautifully, hoping to score, but Diego Carlos outstanding as he spared the blushes of his Argentinian teammate. So Arsenal do still have it all to do, as do Villa, in terms of protecting their 1-0 lead. And you definitely do not want to sit back on a 1-0 lead against this Arsenal team. Otherwise, you know how they say, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And Emery, smart man that he is, will definitely not want to see his Aston Villa team lose to his former team after doing such brilliant work to take a 1-0 lead. At the moment, it is still Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0. And you are, of course, with the coach's corner. Don't have too many people in the comments tonight. Arteta hasn't even been on the sidelines, mate. It's been his assistant coaches who have taken up the responsibility because he's been suspended. He has been taking a few notes, though, it must be said. And I will actually go through some of the results that have from the games that have taken place later today. Of course, as I've mentioned, Liverpool beat Crystal Palace 2-1 at Selhurst Park. Burnley taking the lead against Brighton, but being pegged back and having to settle for 1-1 draw, but a very creditable 1-1 draw, it must be said, as they continue their fight to stay up. And a huge shocker at Old Trafford with United being blanked by Brentford to the tune of 3-0 or 4-0. We're going to find out. 3-0. 3-0. Dominic Solanke, Philip Billing, and Marcos Senesi with the goals. Sheffield United earning a shock 1-0 win over Brentford. Not very good news for our dear friend, Mr. B. And Wolverhampton and Nottingham Forest playing a 1-1 draw at the City ground. Nice recovery for Forest after that 5-0 shellacking, but there is still scrutiny over Steve Cooper's future at the club, and rightly so. And this result will help, but he is going to have to make sure that his boys do a lot better in the coming games. Yeah, once again, of course, I will make a mention during the half-time break now, as it is, for Benjamin Zephaniah, who passed away earlier this week at the age of 65. He was, of course, a human rights activist and an actor, and also a writer and a poet, born and raised in Handsworth, just down the road from Villa Park. And the club writing in today's programme, Zephaniah spoke so passionately about where he was born and raised, growing up in the shadows of the stadium. Such an inspiration to so many people for so many reasons, and will be sorely missed. Go with God, good sir. Now, the teams are out for the second half, and Villa do have it all to do to protect their 1-0 lead, while Arsenal have it all to do to try to get back in the game. If Emery's smart, he might make a few changes to the back line, 1 or 2, take off Pau Torres and bring on Matthew Cash, and maybe just tell his midfielders to get that intensity back. I think Villa might have been... I mean, they probably had one fewer rest day than Arsenal. Not that that's necessarily an excuse. And he does indeed make a change. It looks as though Leon Bailey was struggling with a bit of an injury near the end of the first half. He was limping a little bit. So it looks as though Moussa Diaby will be coming on to try and freshen up that attacking midfield. And in fact, Diaby does come on for Bailey. So a good call. Maybe Bailey should have been rested for this game, allowing Diaby to start. But some fresh legs there could very well give the back line some more problems. And hopefully, if he can help out in defence as well, that will be all the better for Villa. Villa about to start, and the kickoff has just started. A short pass to Douglas Luiz to Camera, and Carlos sends a long ball all the way deep into the Arsenal half, hoping to find a teammate. And Luiz does, in fact, do good work to find Tielemans. Pass from Saka cut off by Camera, and of course the commentary team is the former Aston Villa and Republic of Ireland international Andrew Townsend, along with John Champion. But because I've got my telly on mute, you are in the company of me, yours truly, Manny Thangadrai. And my commentary is nowhere near as good as any of these people. Zinchenko hoping to find a through pass, and does in fact find Martinelli. Lazy work there from Konsa. Martinelli down the left, hoping to find a through pass, but the defense once again outstanding. This time Douglas Luiz coming back to help out. And McGinn once again being given the run around there by Zinchenko. And some great work there, sees Havertz win the ball. And this is where Arsenal can look dangerous if they can get their intensity right. Claims for a penalty, but the referee says nothing doing. But Villa have got to clear their lines now. Havertz is causing all sorts of problems now for Camera, and Arsenal win the ball back quite brilliantly. But I'm not too sure what Bukayo Saka was trying to do there, but that was really lazy from him. He needed to get into position and not just aim a wild swing at it with his left foot. Maybe claims for a handball against Douglas Luiz, perhaps. I don't know. No handball there. And this might possibly be looked at by the VAR people, because earlier on today, of course, one bit of controversy was that a penalty was retroactively given for a foul on Jean-Philippe Mateta, the halftime substitute for Crystal Palace, by the Liverpool defender Kwanzaa. It took quite some time for that penalty to be awarded, but it was awarded, and Mateta ended up scoring. But after Ayew was sent off, Salah scored within barely half a minute, and then Harvey Elliott came on to score the stoppage time winner, and that was that. And that sent Liverpool to the top of the league. And a needless foul there on Bukayo Saka by Luca Digne. And Saka has once again not been able to get into the game tonight. He has not looked threatening at all. Aside from one harmless shot on target, he hasn't really done very much in this game. So Emery's game plan to choke Martinelli and Saka has worked brilliantly so far. But Martinelli has started to find a bit of space. And Konsa needs to be careful. The high line spread, the trap was broken. But Martinez coming out to smother at the feet of Gabriel Jesus, and the danger is averted. So coming up to 48 minutes, 3 minutes of the second half gone. And already we've seen Arsenal trying their best to get a foothold back into the game, and they've done very well so far. Tielemans, though, a short pass to Camera, to McGinn. Hoping to find, not the best pass there from Diaby, and Magalhaes can clear that fairly easily. But McGinn intercepts that brilliantly. A lazy piece of footwork there from Martinelli. And now Konsa's come up. McGinn. And that wasn't the best pass, and Saka can easily clear that. But Tielemans causing some problems, though. Declan Rice, though, and Ben White cleaning up perfectly. And a lazy header there from Konsa once again. He was brilliant in the first half against Martinelli, but has now looked very, very lackadaisical indeed. Looks like a foul there on Martinelli, who's gone to the ground clutching his lower leg. And is that going to be a booking for Ezri Konsa? And so we're just going to go through the starting lineups, of course. Konsa, Carlos, Torres, and Digne are the back four in front of Emi Martinez. No changes there. No changes in the two-man defensive midfield. Diaby, of course, coming on for Leon Bailey, with Tielemans and McGinn as the attacking midfielders, and Ollie Watkins on his own up front. So a 4-2-3-1 for Emery. And while Villa have made a substitution, Arsenal haven't brought anyone on. And so it's still the same lineup that started the game. An excellent through pass from Zinchenko to Martinelli. Martinelli once again skinning Konsa, hoping to find the man, but McGinn once again doing some outstanding defensive work. Jesus once again, though, causing some problems, but that will be a free kick to Aston Villa. Some fine link-up play and some great work off the ball from the Brazilian number 9, but sadly a little bit too exuberant for the referee's liking. And we are now at the 15-minute mark. It is still Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0. Villa somehow holding on to their 1-0 lead, but Arsenal looking more and more dangerous, and Villa do need to start bucking up their ideas. It could very well be that Konsa might be hauled off and Cash might be brought on, because Carlos and Torres have started to settle a bit. Ben White with the throw. Havertz. And well spotted there by the referee. Ben White not controlling that ball, letting it go out of play, and that will be an Aston Villa throw. And Rice not very happy with that. Ever since joining Arsenal, he's certainly become a leader of sorts without the armband. But so far, he hasn't quite been his influential self, although that is starting to change a little bit as the game goes on. But Torres now hoping to find a through pass, but not really being successful with that. And Martinelli, but Konsa intercepting that brilliantly, making up for some of his earlier lackadaisical play. But Torres has to clear that, and he doesn't do that very well because of pressure from Martin Odegaard. No foul there, so Saka now can try and make something happen. Hoping to find Gabriel Jesus, but Martinez plucking that out of the air expertly and trying to send a long ball forward, but Diaby not able to get onto that, and that potential attack goes begging. Villa once again holding on for dear life, and they will not want to run the risk of losing this winning run. But they do have to get a move on, and Arsenal are starting to look very, very dangerous indeed. Finding passes to Saka and Martinelli once again. Saka and Martinelli were shut down in the first half, but they've opened up brilliantly. Excellent work from Saka to, turn Luca Digne all the way to Sunday, and Digne, in fact, concedes a free kick. Great skill there, and the Frenchman is also booked for his troubles. Digne, of course, has been Villa's left back, owing to an injury to Alex Moreno sustained last season, from which he's taken a bit of time to recover. But once again, not a very good piece of play there from the Frenchman. And so this is a potentially dangerous free kick, because if Saka can wrap his left foot around this on the side of the penalty area, if he can find either Martinelli or Jesus, then that should have goal written all over it. Martinez organizing the wall. He will not want to let his former teammates score against him. Of course, Saka and Martinelli were with Martinez at Arsenal when they won the FA Cup, but Saka was an unused substitute that day. Saka with the free kick, short to Odegaard, but the move breaks down and Diaby clears. And that is allowed to go harmlessly just beyond the halfway line, which is met by David Raya. sends a long pass forward, and Pau Torres needs to work quickly, and Martinez judges that brilliantly. That isn't a back pass, though, because it was an attempted clearance. And so Martinez is allowed to claim back with his hands, jumping up to sort of pluck it out, and no harm done. No, they're not. Not unless they improve their home form, and they still have the matter of about 36 minutes to negotiate tonight, not including stoppages. A short pass to camera. And oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Arsenal are starting to look very, very dangerous, and Villa are looking very, very slack, even sloppy, if you will. And this is great watching, and I am quite happy with this as an Arsenal fan. It will only be a matter of time before we score, but the longer we go without scoring, the greater our frustration. However, you can just sense that Aston Villa are now playing into Arsenal's hands, but also credit to Arsenal, we're making them make mistakes. I love it. And a beautiful pass there, but some good defensive work from Tielemans this time, and that will be an Arsenal corner. Ben White there hoping to try and find a cross into the penalty area, but not able to get in. And Unai Emery's seen enough. He's bringing on Jacob Ramsey, the number 41. It might be a matter of time before he decides to bring on another defender, maybe. It could be either Cash or Moreno or someone else. But that is, of course, Tielemans' last action of the night. Not really been able to get into the game. Certainly tried his best, but Ramsey now can come on and provide a little bit of impetus, really, to try to take Aston Villa through the remainder of the game. But if Villa aren't careful, a sweet beginning could become a very sour ending. So Yuri Tielemans off, Jacob Ramsey on. And so Aston Villa's number 41 could very well do battle with Arsenal's number 41. Arsenal corner to be taken by Bukayo Saka, left-footed in-swinger. And this is Arsenal's third corner to Villa's 2. And well, what can I say? What a horrible piece of play that was from Villa. Martinez jumping to catch that, but bumping into Watkins and ending up dropping the ball. And fortunately for Villa, that did not go over the line. We'll see the play right now from the better angle. Well, off the post, but not crossing the line. Saliba unable to get to the end of that. And for once, Martinez not really able to distinguish himself on a cross there. But Villa once again riding their luck defensively, and they are going to have to start working harder. And a poor through ball there, easily intercepted by Gabriel Magalhaes. Diaby on his heels and catches him with a rather clumsy flying challenge there. Harmless, but flying nonetheless. And Arsenal are looking stronger, and it will be a matter of time before we score. Declan Rice. Saliba. Magalhaes. Finding Martinelli. Back to Magalhaes. And Martinelli is alone on the wing, and if he gets the ball, it will be good night Arsenal. But instead it's Havertz in the penalty area, hoping to find a man. And it does fall to Odegaard, but his shot goes off target. It wasn't even a shot, never even connected with that, really. And Villa's defense is now being breached. The high line trap is being sprung. Konsa playing Havertz on side. Havertz timing his run perfectly. And all Odegaard needed to do was to get into position, but that was an awful, awful miss there from the Arsenal captain. Coming up to the hour mark, it's 58 minutes, and it is still Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0, but Arsenal are growing into the game, and Villa are looking very, very ragged. Pass back to David Raya. Magalhaes. Saliba. And Odegaard now, who will try to orchestrate proceedings. Magalhaes. Martinelli. Zinchenko. Hoping to find Martinelli. Does find Martinelli, but excellent work from camera. Sees that go away. But a rather, immature clearance there. Sees Arsenal win the ball back. And it looks as though every time Aston Villa do some good defensive work, their clearance of the ball has literally let them down. Zinchenko. Clearly at fault for Aston Villa's opener. But since that 7th minute strike, it's been mostly Arsenal. And I'm not too sure Emery will be very, very happy seeing the way Villa have not been able to get back into the game. But if Aston Villa do manage to hold on, this will be a very impressive win for them. No doubt about it. Aston Villa throw. Digne doing some good work there on Bukayo Saka. And the defense has looked stretched at times, but Emery can always bring on Matthew Cash and Alex Moreno to try to freshen up the defense. He's already made 2 substitutions, so he can't afford to make any more than 3. And John McGinn there, escaping his man brilliantly. He now needs to find Moussa Diaby, which he does. Diaby in the penalty area, up against Magalhaes. The defense comes back. Now to Luca Digne! Straight at Raya, who was never really troubled by that, but also needed to make that save. And so maybe this is a sign that Aston Villa can, if they get their passing right, start to become a counter-attacking team. But now they've got to depend on the offside trap sprung. It is Bukayo Saka. No, it hasn't been sprung. The flag has been raised, and it's not going to count. The high line working, but only just. People. Only just. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's all happening out there. And some good work there. Bukayo Saka doing beautifully to take the ball beyond Martinez, who had rushed out, but the offside flag saves the villains. But again, you just sense that it will really only be a matter of time before Arsenal do have the ball in the back of the net and Martinez will have his clean sheet spoilt. And a foul there on Saka. He's been attacked almost remorselessly all night. It looks as though Douglas Luiz was the culprit there with a foul on him, and he's clutching his left shin there. That certainly looks painful. Really only stamping on his foot. Not too sure why he felt the need to grab his lower shin, but the Brazilian is booked, and the consequence of that is that he will miss the next match. So he's been the key part in Villa's rise this season, and it'll be interesting to see who will replace him. Could it be Leander Dendoncker, maybe? He's about to come on along with Matthew Cash in a double substitution. Probably an expected change from Unai Emery to try and bring out some defensive stability, but this is now worrying from Aston Villa's point of view because Emery is now starting to get very, very defensive. He got defensive in the corresponding fixture last season. If he gets too defensive here, believe me, he will pay a price. Zinchenko. Declan Rice sending it forward. Bukayo Saka once again being watched like a hawk by Luca Digne. Saliba, Zinchenko. And that was a pretty errant pass from the Ukrainian, easily cut off by Konsa. And Camara can now come away with the ball. He's got McGinn to his right, Diaby up front. He chooses to find Diaby, who sent it into the penalty area. And I'm not too sure what he was trying to do there, but Watkins was never going to get on the end of that. Raya sort of passing it out, rolling it out to Odegaard, rather. Declan Rice. Saliba. Zinchenko. Rice to Saka. He's got Camara watching him like a hawk. Saka passing it back to Declan Rice. Zinchenko. Martin Odegaard. Saliba. As I said in the beginning, it's the best home record in the league against the best away record in the league. And at the moment, the best home record looks like it could continue. But there are 25 minutes to go now before the end of the game. And plenty of time for Arsenal to get an equaliser and score a winner. And Saka being forced to concede a goal kick there. And clearly you can see his frustration boiling over. Pau Torres, who looked rather shaky near the end of the first half especially, has now become a lot better. And clearly Emery has not been impressed by Konsa's play in this half, and he has decided to bring him off and bring on Matthew Cash. Konsa was magnificent in the first half, but has let his standards slip so far in the second. And Camara has started to look a little bit ragged a bit, so it will be Leander Dendoncker to come on. Douglas Luiz should be able to finish the game. And there is one more substitution that Emery has up his sleeve. So far, Arsenal have not made a change so far. You get the feeling that maybe when it gets to 70 or 75 minutes, the assistant coaches will make the change. It is, of course, AirPod Albert who is assuming coaching duties in the absence of Mikel Arteta. Clearance by Martinez, hoping to find McGinn, and it does. And McGinn once again being double teamed. And so the strategy that Aston Villa used on Arsenal in the first half has been used by Arsenal on Villa so far in the second. And worryingly for Villa, there's no way that they can, react to that. Magalhaes finding Martinelli, but hoping to find Martinelli, but the pass was a little bit too long. And a nervous watch there for Mikel Arteta, who's in the dugout this time. If Arsenal were to lose, I can just imagine the excuses. We lost because Arteta wasn't in the dugout. And no foul there, so McGinn is able to send it forward. Diaby running onto that, and he is able to get it despite the efforts of Magalhaes. Or Saliba, rather. And a shot on goal, but straight at David Raya, and sort of fumbled it, really, but was able to get it at the end. No harm done, really. Great pass there with Diaby running through to connect that quite beautifully. He had Saliba on his tail, rather. And the shot from Watkins really along the ground, along the centre. Easy save for Raya, who did, in fact, spill it, but nobody was there to really get on the end of that. Yes, it is, in fact, Albert Stuyvenberg and Carlos Cuesta who are taking coaching responsibilities tonight. Martinelli there, trying to move forward. Great tackle, but Martinelli wins it back. Luca Digne there with that tackle, but it is with Ben White. Odegaard, back to Ben White. Saka, who's been harried tonight. In the penalty area, but once again, Jesus fluffing his lines after taking centre stage. But there is still time, and Arsenal do win the ball back. And that is a free kick awarded to Arsenal in a potentially dangerous position for a foul on Martin Odegaard. And now it is the 70th minute, and Arsenal do make their first substitution. Martinelli has had an okay game where he's tried to make things happen, but not really been successful. And on comes Leandro Trossard to try and provide a little bit of guile. Trossard will need a good game tonight. He's been a little bit sloppy in some respects in recent times, so he will be expected to do quite well. And Trossard coming on in discussion with Odegaard and Rice and Magalhaes. Emi Martinez organising his wall. Coming up to 70 minutes having played. And now, of course, with both Konsa and Martinelli off, Cash will be expected to try and stop Trossard from making too much headway. But Cash is also very adept at bombing forward. So, will it be Rice with his right foot or Odegaard with his left? The wall being organised. It looks as though it will be Odegaard with it. It's Declan Rice, in fact. But it goes some sort of hits the wall, dribbles through to Martinez, and the danger is sort of scuffed out for now. Interestingly enough, it sort of hit one of the Villa players, I believe it was Watkins, and then found its way to Trossard, actually hit Trossard, but he couldn't control it, and Martinez was there to gleefully and gratefully collect it. And a huge goal kick from Martinez deep into the Arsenal half, hoping to find Diaby, which he does. And once again, the Villa players claiming a foul on Diaby. Not given, but that was definitely a foul on what looks like Kai Havertz. Yep, and that will be an Arsenal free kick. And so Havertz hasn't necessarily done too much wrong. He's managed to get he's looked okay, but not really provided too many moments of magic. Did score against Luton and also scored the winner against Brentford, and I believe it was hoped that he would be able to be on target tonight, but so far that hasn't been the case. And in the second half, with 71 minutes gone, Arsenal have had 71% of the possession and 53% of it in the first half, but Villa have been the team in front. So Villa have once again been basically depending on their high line to try to make things happen. And all the talk about how Villa's high line would be broken easily has not yet materialized, with one goal, of course, being ruled out for offside. But John McGinn flying in there. And will that be a booking for the Aston Villa captain? Yes, it will be. And so it's effectively all hands on deck right now as they're trying their best to, stop the Arsenal momentum by any means necessary. And was going for the ball, but ended up catching his counterpart, Odegaard. It's almost like a Scotland versus Norway Euro or World Cup qualifier there. Except McGinn doesn't wear the armband for Scotland. But of course, now he does with Andrew Robertson injured. Zinchenko to Benny Blanco. Jacob Ramsey wins the ball now after some good work by Digne and Saka again. And a pass back from 41 to 14. Torres now has to be very careful how he plays this. Luiz back to Torres, who tries to send it forward, hoping to find Ollie Watkins, and Saliba pretty much marshals him brilliantly, but Digne is there to help pick up the slack, and Ramsey now against Rice, 41 against 41, and Arsenal's 41 concedes the throw, and Aston Villa's 41 lets his teammate take it. Well, there certainly hasn't been a very pretty game as far as Aston Villa are concerned. And they've had to literally work hard for everything they could get. They do have one substitution left, while Arsenal have 4. And so far, Arsenal, we must say, have had the better of this half. And if Airport Albert and CC are able to make another few substitutions in quick time, then the resulting fresh legs could very easily spell danger for Aston Villa. But this could be danger for Arsenal now. McGinn in the penalty area up against Zinchenko, but into the side netting. And there's a reason why John McGinn's right foot is his wrong foot. And this is very nervous viewing for the former Arsenal manager. Delighted with the start that his team gave him, but not very happy right now with the way things are going. In fact, he is quite nervous at the moment. But Trossard now being pressured by Matthew Cash into giving the ball away. Jacob Ramsey now. Fortunately for Arsenal, the defence comes back to mitigate some of the damage, but it is still with Ramsey. Digne, back to Ramsey. And 41 concedes the corner. And so we all know how good Douglas Luiz is on corners. He walks over to take this one. He scored directly from a corner kick when the two teams played at the Emirates last season. Not Aaron Ramsdale's finest moment. And of course, Ramsdale is on the bench tonight. Will he cause David Raya any problems? Torres, Watkins, McGinn, Dendoncker, Diaby, all in the box. A huge sea of neon green or fluorescent yellow or whatever it is at the back. In, headed away by Magalhaes, who was at the near post. Only as far as Cash. Controlled by Douglas Luiz. Does he concede a throw in? No. But Jesus does brilliantly to take the ball away from him. But well, Cash was able to win it back, and he ended up trying a shot on goal. Never really going to trouble David Raya because it didn't really have that much in terms of power and was on the ground. And I'm sure the Spaniard had it covered anyway. So, into the last 14 minutes, it's Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0. And if you're an Aston Villa fan, squeaky backside time has, oops, already started. Magalhaes to Zinchenko. Zinchenko doesn't overlap too often, but... And some poor play there, and a booking for Declan Rice. Sort of played that pass a little bit too strongly there. Catching Matty Cash with a rather needless raised right foot, and that will be a booking for the Arsenal and England midfielder, who, of course, was the winning captain for West Ham's Conference League team. And this will be Aston Villa's final change, and as probably expected, it will be Luca Digne to come off and Alex Moreno to come on. And in many ways, Moreno is normally considered the better left-back than Digne, but has had a long recovery from a hamstring injury sustained last season at Liverpool. He now comes on to negotiate the final 12.5 minutes plus stoppage time. Carlos with the free kick going forward, and Villa have somehow looked a little bit better in these last few minutes, especially with the substitutes coming on and doing their thing. And it is an Aston Villa throw. And I'm not that much of a lip reader, but it looks as though Emery is telling his men to try and keep the press a little bit higher. And certainly now with all 5 substitutes used, that shouldn't be much of a problem. Watkins being watched like a hawk by Saliba, and Saliba clears it. But great work again from Villa's midfield to try to get the ball back. They still don't get it back, though. And do Arsenal concede a corner? No, that will be a goal kick. And you almost can't watch if you're Mikel Arteta and Vinay Venkatesham there. But worryingly for Arsenal, Saka still looks as though he's hobbling a little bit. And he's still on the field. So no foul there. The referee waves play on. And not the best of passes, though, by McGinn, by Douglas Luiz, but then Donker doing brilliantly to break up that Arsenal chain of passing there. Not the best pass from Douglas Luiz. Well broken up by Leandro Trossard, the former Brighton midfielder. And an excellent pass there, but the defence coming back to spare all blushes. Alex Moreno's first meaningful contribution to stop that potential Arsenal counter-attack. I mean, not that counter-attack, but Arsenal chance. And Moreno now up against Ben White. Certainly a top quality left back. And I was a little bit surprised, in fact, that Aston Villa decided not to try and go for Kieran Tierney in lieu of Moreno's injury. But now with both Moreno and Digne fit, they've got two excellent left backs. Arsenal do have an excellent central defender in Saliba, who tries to start something. But in fact, Arsenal do end up winning a free kick for a needless foul on Bukayo Saka by Alex Moreno. Last 10 minutes. Squeaky backside time started a long time ago. And I think that will be Gabriel Jesus' last action for the night, because Arsenal's number 14, Eddie Nketiah, is coming on. Be interesting to see how he does against Aston Villa's number 14, Pau Torres. Trossard, Havertz, back to Trossard. Trossard and Havertz combining. Looks pretty good. Attempted through ball there, but some great defending by Cash, but Arsenal still have the ball. And that is, in fact, going to be a free kick awarded against Arsenal for a foul. And the referee signalling to Jesus that the reason why I'm stopping play is because you're being hauled off, son. Off goes number 9. On comes number 14. And Nketiah has been the subject of not undeserved criticism for his play in recent games. It will be interesting to see how he does in these last 9 minutes, plus stoppage time. So Aston Villa's defence will have to be very watchful for Nketiah, because there are some good aspects to his play in terms of getting into good positions and finding space. A sort of a flat goal kick from Martinez, and well, apparently John McGinn was not very happy with that decision. He thought that he was through, but the referee signalling either an offside there or maybe a foul on Zinchenko. And so Arsenal can come away with the ball through Odegaard. Ben White. William Saliba. Eddie Nketiah fouled by Dendoncker, and that will be a free kick to Arsenal. Dendoncker, of course, a former Wolf, as in Wolverhampton Wanderers, and also a Belgian international, just like Leandro Trossard. Saliba. Ben White. Back to Saliba. Odegaard. Back to Saliba. Declan Rice now. Magalhaes. Trossard is well open on the wing, but not the best of passes, cut off by Luca Digne. But Magalhaes can try and send that forward, hook that forward, which he does. Cash, though, is able to claim that quite well, and that play's been stopped because Zinchenko's on the floor. Not too sure that that's a foul, but the Ukrainian shakes it off. We are now into the last 7 minutes of the game, plus stoppages. Plenty of time for Arsenal, as I've said, to find an equaliser and a winner. But despite having only half the possession of Arsenal, Aston Villa have had more second-half attempts. Very interesting. It looks as though they've started to evolve into becoming a more counter-attacking team. Diaby now shaking off Magalhaes. Cash as well, keeping Havertz respectful. Dendoncker, a dreadful looking pass there from Dendoncker, which does in fact go out for a throw. Hoping to find Alex Moreno, but the Belgian not able to get that on target at all. And that will not please Unai Emery one bit. Ben White with the throw. It is Saliba to Magalhaes. Zinchenko. Arsenal have 3 more substitutions. But a dreadful pass there from Zinchenko, easily intercepted by Matthew Cash, and a huge pass down the right, but nobody really on the end of that, and Raya can easily control that and pass that to Magalhaes. And Trossard's on the floor now, holding his lower foot. Well, I think Cash got the ball first, and the momentum probably took him into Zinchenko, really. But excellent defensive work there from the Pole. Very unfortunate that he and the Belgian collided there. Coming into the last 5 minutes, and there will be stoppages. I reckon at least 4 or 5 minutes. Aston Villa are playing a very dangerous game, it has to be said. And still, John McGinn's 7th-minute opener is the only thing separating these teams. But you just imagine that a goal is forthcoming if Arsenal can get their timing and their passes right. But Aston Villa so far have defended magnificently at times, desperately in others, and effectively all the time. And yes, they've had 1 or 2 moments of good fortune as well. Pass there, hoping to find Trossard, but far too long and errant, and the Belgian was never going to get there. That will be an Aston Villa throw. And so seconds are being eaten up by Aston Villa, but they cannot afford to play this way. Diaby finding McGinn. And Cash will clean it up. Cash has had a bit of a difficult time for Aston Villa in recent times when, he was sort of caught out defensively. But now coming on for Ezri Konsa, he's done his job very well indeed. McGinn putting Magalhaes under pressure, but Odegaard coming to his central defender's rescue. Zinchenko now. Can he find Trossard with a pass? No, he can't. A pretty poor pass, which was never going to be well controlled. A little bit too high for the Belgian, and now Nketiah is down on the floor. A frustrating night for Arsenal so far, but as an Arsenal fan, of course, I do have hope that we will find an equaliser. But if we don't, it will be a very hard-earned clean sheet and win for Aston Villa. Just taking a look at the pass again. An off-the-ball incident there between Carlos and Nketiah. We're going to take a look at that. Oh, boy. Certainly looks dangerous. I wonder if the VAR people are going to look at that. And Nketiah claiming that he was fouled, and Carlos saying, stop being a baby and get up and play. And in fact, the Brazilian has been booked for his sins. Fortunately or not, he will not miss the next match, unlike his compatriot, Douglas Luiz. But unfortunately for Aston Villa, it's a free kick. Zinchenko sending it into the penalty area, but easily headed out. The danger's still not over for Aston Villa, though. Hooked back forward by Saliba, but Ramsey is there to clean up. That will, however, be an Arsenal throw as we come into the last 2 minutes of stoppage time, and there will be plenty of... last 2 minutes of normal time, and there will be plenty of time for stoppages. And once again, Aston Villa's defence able to just clear it out, but not really successfully. Villa do send the ball back in. Declan Rice hoping to find Bukayo Saka, but Ramsey once again outstanding. And you've got to give credit to Aston Villa's substitutes. They've done a brilliant job so far in preserving the lead and preventing Arsenal from really making too much in terms of headway. And whenever Arsenal have managed to make some headway, they found their former goalkeeper in excellent form. I mean, the saves he's made tonight were probably not quite as good as the saves he made against Erling Haaland on Wednesday, but he is the world number 1 for a reason. And I'm sure Liverpool fans will probably believe that Alisson has rightful claim to that, but the answer to that question is, which one of those two has a World Cup winners' medal? And of course, when Alisson and Martinez did meet in that World Cup qualifier, it was the Argentinian who came out on top. But the Argentinian might need to be watchful because Odegaard has sent a ball into the penalty area. And it is in the back of the net, but it is ruled out for a foul. And the Arsenal players are surrounding the referee, claiming that that goal should in fact be given. If it is in fact given, it will be the least that Arsenal deserve, but it looks as though there could have been a foul on Emi Martinez in the build-up. We're going to take a look here. I think they're claiming a handball against Matthew Cash. Maybe a handball against Kai Havertz. And Nketiah ended up poking it in, but that could very well be a handball against Matthew Cash. Definitely a handball against Kai Havertz there. And as normal time has elapsed, we're going to find out if VAR will look for a foul for a handball against Matthew Cash. I'm not too sure they will consider that. But they are checking the disallowed goal, whether there is a handball against Kai Havertz. And it does look as though it hits his lower arm in an unnatural position. So clearly tempers are starting to fray a little bit, and we are heading for a very exciting ending. Well, VAR looks to be inconclusive. I think they're looking for some sort of deviation in the ball. It does, in fact, look to hit Kai Havertz on his arm. So they're checking it, and we are into 5 minutes of added on time, which will probably increase to at least 6. And they're taking their time with it. And it is, in fact, Havertz who got the final touch. So that will be... Well... Emi Martinez is also bleeding from his eye. And so the verdict is, of course, that the goal is disallowed. It does not stand. So at the moment, with 3 minutes to go before the end of the game, although that will probably be 4 minutes now, given the stoppages, it is Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0, and Martinez has, in fact, sustained a cut to his face. So it could very well be that the goal would have been disallowed, possibly for a foul on Martinez in the build-up. I don't know. But the Argentinian goalkeeper taking one to the face against his former team. How he would love to end this match on the winning side. Well, he wasn't fouled. He was caught in the studs by his teammate, Matthew Cash. Shedding something for the cause, and that will add more and more minutes to the clock. And enough time for Arsenal to make one substitution. Zinchenko comes off and Nelson goes on. Zinchenko has tried to be the engine room in the midfield, the engineer, you would say, but defensively found wanting for the first goal. And if that goal is to be the difference between these two sides, then I think you've got to say that Zinchenko has to take his share of the blame. And I can just imagine the excuses if Arsenal go on to lose this. We were without Mikel Arteta, our inspirational manager. He still led the tactics. And so 5 minutes have in fact been awarded, but you will imagine that there will be, that will rise to 6 or 7. I mean, definitely 7, maybe even 8. So Villa, once again, have got to hold on if they want to win. But as for Arsenal, they are knocking on Villa's door. But John McGinn now running onto that through ball. It's 1 against 2. He's all alone. But coming onto his left foot, Magalhaes. Poor sloppy play there. Ramsey. Now then, Donker. And now it's Arsenal's turn to be on the ropes. Some sloppy defensive play there from Magalhaes, nearly giving it back to Jacob Ramsey. And so can Villa have a strong finish to this game? You imagine that as we come into the last 30 seconds of the 5 minutes awarded, it will increase to 6 or 7 following the VAR delay. I mean, definitely 7 at least following the VAR delay and, of course, the treatment for Emi Martinez. But Aston Villa now still huffing and puffing, hoping to blow Villa's house down. Nelson on the left, scorer of that breathlessly late winner against Gary O'Neill's Bournemouth at the Emirates. Into the penalty area, but headed out by Pau Torres. And Watkins, who's still on the field, shakes off the intentions of Reiss Nelson. But it is William Saliba now, and we've just passed the 5 minutes awarded, but it will increase, of course, to 7 or even 8, as I've said earlier. And it is Arsenal's number 8 who has the ball, passing it to the number 41, Declan Rice. Havertz, who had the goal disallowed, nutmegging that Matthew Cash, but still Arsenal aren't able to find a way through, and thanks to Super John McGinn, the goal scorer, they are able to clear it. But McGinn playing in a very uncomfortable position on the right wing. I think he started on the left, where he feels a lot better. And Villa still believe, but so do Arsenal. And this is amazing end-to-end stuff, a great deal of drama. I was hoping, of course, for a 2-1 Arsenal win, but Arsenal have not been able to score. And it will be a very satisfying clean sheet, as I've said, for Emi Martinez if Villa hold on. Of course, in his first 2 games as a Villa player against Arsenal, he kept clean sheets, a 3-0 win at the Emirates and a 1-0 win at Villa Park. And here he comes now to claim the ball. And getting into a bit of a tussle there with Havertz and Nketiah there, who was a substitute in the FA Cup final, along with and a former teammate of Martinez, telling him, wind your neck in and back off him. And Martinez there pretty much turning his back there, and clearly... oh boy. And the referee giving Martinez a talking to, and it will in fact be an Aston Villa free kick. And Unai Emery urging calm. We are now into the 98th minute of the game, and the Aston Villa fans are literally holding on for dear life. I'm sure the referee will probably allow the 98th minute to be played, but we are coming up to the last 30 seconds of that 98th minute. And that ball is allowed to roll through to David Raya, and you sense that this will probably be Arsenal's last chance. They're probably not going to get the win. Can they at least get an equaliser? Odegaard with the ball forward. Easily headed away by Torres, but Luis is unable to connect with that. He does, however, intercept it, but it is now with Declan Rice, who can try and send it into the penalty area, hoping to find Edward Nketiah, but that awful header, well over the bar, pretty much sums up Nketiah to a T. And it's really not surprising that there are clubs. He probably might have been offside anyway, so even if he had been able to control that and score, it wouldn't have counted. We've now played 98 minutes of time. And Areteta has seen enough. He's gone into the dressing room. Unai Emery is still, urging his players to stay calm. 30 seconds to go until 99 minutes up. Emi Martinez prepares to take the goal kick. There will be another... No, he's blown the whistle! And Aston Villa have completed a magnificent victory I wouldn't necessarily say magnificent, because they have had to literally huff and puff to get this. After opening the scoring through John McGinn in the 7th minute, they were looking very bright. But credit to Arsenal, they were coming back into the game and causing a few problems. Martinez, of course, coming up with some very big saves in the first half. In the second half, Arsenal had a lot of the possession and were creating some chances. A 90th minute potential equaliser disallowed for a handball against Kai Havertz, and Aston Villa somehow managed to hold on for dear life. And so with this particular win, Aston Villa set a record of 15 consecutive wins at home. A wonderful way to pay tribute to Benjamin Zephaniah, and we might hear some more tactical analysis from Shay and Tony once we get back to the studio. A great win for Aston Villa, who are flying at the moment. They now rise to 35 points, 1 behind Arsenal, 2 behind Liverpool. And memories of the 92-93 season, the very first Premier League season under Ron Atkinson, when Aston Villa challenged Manchester United to the death, only to sort of fade near the end. The glory days are coming back to Villa Park, through to the next stage of the Conference League as potential group winners, and now third in the Premiership. Emi Martinez with that ugly-looking cut, exchanging pleasantries with his former Arsenal pals. And he will have absolutely loved keeping this clean sheet. And so in their last 15 Premier League home games, they've won 15, scored 39, conceded 7 with 8 clean sheets, and have only been behind for 40 minutes. Absolutely magnificent. Fortress Villa Park. And as for Arsenal, it is a very disappointing defeat. They were, of course, hoping to try and secure the win to break this streak, but Captain Fantastic John McGinn, with the only goal of the game, had some of their moments, but had to put in a very dogged defensive display. Emi Martinez coming up with some saves in the first half. Diego Carlos and Pau Torres settling down to play heroic roles in the centre of defence. Matthew Cash and Alex Moreno coming on to relieve the fullbacks. Jacob Ramsey and Dendoncker solidifying things in the midfield. No joy for Ollie Watkins or Leon Bailey tonight, but that won't matter. It's Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0. And what a remarkable, remarkable game. I'm only sorry we didn't get too many comments, but huge. What's in your head? In your head, Martinez. Martinez, in your head, head. God rest Dolores O'Riordan's soul. Nice one, Shoosh. You're telling me to Shoosh. I don't have Martinez in my head. And listen, it was an absolute privilege, of course, to bring this match to you. And I don't know if Del Boy will be doing a reaction stream, but there are plenty of reaction streams going on right now on YouTube. I will probably jump on to Northside's stream to see if I can join in the reaction. But we're going to hear from Tony and Shay right now. Because they're just recapping the day's events. An away win for Liverpool, 1-1 draws for Brighton and Burnley and Wolves and Forest. Tight 1-0 wins for Sheffield United and Aston Villa. Sheffield United getting a wonderful, priceless win over the Bees. But the shock result of the day, or probably not a shock, depending on how you look at it, Bournemouth coming away from Old Trafford with an absolutely magnificent 3 points. Andoni Iraola has somehow cracked how to play in the Premier League. He's got his players playing well for him. That Bournemouth 1-1 draw with Villa was certainly no fluke. They played magnificently, and Villa had to struggle to get a point from that game. And of course, in the evening fixture, Villa winning 1-0, a record 15th consecutive home win. And there's really nothing much else to say. I don't see Del Boy doing a reaction stream tonight, and I think, in fact, in half an hour, Northside will be coming on, and I will probably join him. Shout out to Danny AFC TV, who was doing a watch along tonight, and I think he will obviously be hopping mad at the moment. There are several other people who are doing watch alongs and reactions. Shout out to King's Football Show, Miss Melina, Tony Claude Gunner, and quite a few others. And all I can say right now is that this was a game that Arsenal really couldn't afford to lose, because now the worst part is that they end the week, their game week at least, second in the table. And so all the momentum gained from City's loss to Villa and their own tight win over Luton has now been dissipated, really. And I suppose in many ways, people are going to look at this tight win and say, things are still all right. We didn't have calls going our way. We had 2 disallowed goals, both of which should have stood in our opinion. But at the end of the day, I think even if you want to say that Aston Villa almost played into Arsenal's hands by being a little bit slack and, too defensive, they deserve nothing but credit for the way they stuck to their task, kept them out, and I think you have to say on the balance of it, they deserve their win. So that's pretty much all that can be said. So for Arsenal, it is back to the drawing board. For Aston Villa, it's onwards and upwards. And with that, I will end this stream. Thank you all very much indeed to everyone who's joined in tonight. Haven't had too many people in the comments, but that's perfectly fine. It was a last-minute decision to really, do this stream, and I'm glad that I did it. And Arsenal have some problems. They need to solve them, and they cannot wait for Mikel Arteta to return to the team. I've now been on the air for 2 hours, and I've enjoyed doing this watch along. Shout out to all of you in the chat who've joined in, and shout out to all of you who've watched this. Do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Take care of yourselves, enjoy your Sunday, and don't do anything that I normally wouldn't do. But for now, I bid you all adieu. Cheers, everyone.